Phenomenal suggestion.
Also, the name's fun to say.
Flail Snail.
Flail Snail.
Flail Snail.
Yes. Oh yeah, we were talking about we should new trait if you roll all the beasts and everything like that. Just act like Pokemon saying their name.
Oh yeah.
Such a great idea.
Yeah. Flail Snail. Flail Snail. Just going along for
Flail Snail.
hours.
Yeah.
Flail Snail. Bam.
Flail! Snail! Flail! Snail!
Like an alarm. Like a car alarm, basically. Just yelling Flail Snail.
What could that be? I think it's a flail.
Welcome to Monsters and Multiclass, your Dungeons and Dragons fix. I'm Kevin Odie,
I'm Jared Bornicle.
And I'm Will Milton.
and we'll be hanging out with you for a while to talk about anything and everything D&D related. This week we're taking a look at the Fighter Warlock multiclass, and then later on the Flail Snail from Molo's Guide to Monsters. So pull up a chair and stick around for a while.
All right, so this week we are taking a look at the Fighter Warlock multiclass. The Fighter is the stereotypical melee class in D&D. They are usually a highly trained soldier of some sort, or just a farm kid who is given a sword and they turn into a fighter because nobody really pays attention to how you become a fighter. It's unimportant. And their requirements to multiclass into are Strength 13 or Dex. So you get some leeway there. Then the other one is the Warlock. Will, it's been a while since we've had a Warlock. Do you want to just describe what a Warlock is to you?
Yeah, they're easily the best class in D&D. They're the most interesting, unique, fun to play. Flavor's perfect, basically.
Requirements to multiclass into a Warlock are 13 charisma. Generally, they are a weird kind of caster where they don't follow the same spell progression as any of the other full casters, but they are, in Will's opinion, the only real full caster in 5e. There's going to be a lot of Will likes Warlock jokes today, so I apologize. They usually commit to a specific patron, otherworldly being who gives them their powers, and from that they get Eldritch Blast, the best cantrip in the game, hands down. Let's see how these two mesh together. Kevin, no, actually I'm going to give it to Will first thoughts because I asked you last week or 2 weeks ago. Doesn't matter.
Well, this is kind of an easy one. We've got my favorite class, the best class in the game, the Warlock, and the universal multi-class choice. It's actually, I'll say this, it is a little bit outmoded because the Hexblade's out. This was how I made a Hexblade. This is how you made a Hexblade before the Hexblade was released. So there is that to keep in mind. But it's still got potential.
Kevin?
Yeah, there's a ton you could do with it, and I would say actually Hexblade, where it's the type of thing where it seems like, all right, that sort of just takes care of this multiclass. A Hexblade multiclassing with a fighter has a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah,
well.
I think that's about what I came to as well. And even looking away from the Hexblade specifically, I still feel like there's at least going to be something in here that we can get. I really tried hard when studying for this was is there a way that Hexblade and fighter doesn't work well together? Because I was just really hoping that wasn't because that's such an obvious choice.
Right.
Fighter and Hexblade, you're going to have a good time, right? It's like maybe there's some reason why it just sucks. Like they step on each other. Maybe you're not getting nearly as much as you should because Hexblade gives you something. No, it's just honestly a really good mix.
Well, I mean, the counterpoint is there is a small beginning overlap. You get armor and weapon proficiency with the Hexblade.
Very slight.
But that's not it. There's still more there. You're not losing an entire feature.
Right.
So you're
also,
right.
The fact that you can now focus on a single stat, charisma, and come out on top in almost every way.
Right.
Is
Yeah,
great.
and that's still, you'll still want dexterity for your AC, and dex is just a good thing to have.
Or
which
you
you can
can
now focus on, and then con as well. So focus on charisma, dex, and con, dumb, strength, intelligence, middle of the road, wisdom. Really solid stat array.
Right. And there's no reason that you can't, it's a weird way of putting it, but dump dex to some extent. If you want to be a strength one, go for it. There's nothing holding you back. If you start as a fighter, you get proficiency in heavy armor.
Right,
And then you
that's
can
true.
be a heavy armor Hexblade Warlock.
And that was
true.
That was actually the formula for creating a Hexblade before Hexblade was you take one level on fighter, rest in Warlock. If you want to mix it up, you can. And then you were a just magic tank. you know,
Yeah.
with a magic weapon. It was pretty dope.
Yeah, using the pact of the blade, pact of boon. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Warlock's are always tough to talk about multi-classing because there's so much variety. First, they have their patron, and that's the Archfey, the Fiend, the Great Old One, the Hexblade, and all that. And then each patron, regardless of which they choose at one point, I think level 3 or something like that, chooses their pact boon, and then there's 3 additional choices of the book, the Fiend, or the blade, basically. Or the familiar, not the Fiend.
Yeah.
So you have a bunch of combinations, and then on top of it, the invocations. Some of the invocations are minor and just kind of like a neat, flavorful thing they could get, like they don't need to sleep anymore. And then there's other ones though where it could really change how they play the game. And so it's always like I always get a little like stressed out planning a Warlock multi-class because there's just so much to consider.
Right. Like just setting up the patron that you choose isn't as I guess telling of what your class is going to be as much as like saying, oh, I'm playing a ranger and I want to play the monster slayer. Okay, you've got a specific play style and it's basically handed to you.
Right.
Whereas the warlock with the invocations, you are just getting so much variety to tweak your class the way that you want to play it. I mean, there's nothing that's stopping you from playing a Hexblade who goes with the Pact of the Chain. And now you've got a familiar who can cast your spells for you and do some other stuff. Maybe the Pact of the Blade is going to be a little bit more powerful and lets you get some invocations that are specifically good for your build, +1 to your weapon that you don't have to go and find a magic weapon for.
Right.
And some other things down the line, but you still have that option. And the spell one, same deal. I mean, it is an overwhelming one to try and talk about with multi-classing.
Right.
There's a ton of options.
Yeah, and even like the patron. So like Hexblade's pretty much pigeonholes you as being a martial type warlock.
Right.
But like Fiend, Archfey, Great Old One, that could kind of go either way, being casters or martial or a mix. Like Dark One's Blessing, the Fiend's first thing at level 1 is like if you reduce across hostile creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier plus your warlock level. It doesn't matter how you reduce them. Hitting them with a sword, ranged attack, a spell, whatever.
Yeah, and I think what even adds to this more is, again, I'm just going to keep saying, Hexblade is kind of the obvious one. I don't think there's anything restricting you from going into the other options. And heck, even one thing that I think is just going to be a really big one that I was thinking about was if you start as Eldritch Knight and you get up to like 11th level in there, and then you take one dip into Warlock, you're now getting their ability to make, I believe you can cast a cantrip, which at 11th level, you're going to get 3 Eldritch Blasts.
Right.
And then as a bonus action, you can make a melee attack.
Just a weapon attack.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
Be melee.
You're right.
So
Just
a
a
long
weapon
bullet
attack.
or whatever. It's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
I have that in my notes about.
So, I mean, that's just like, that's a little one where it's like just a small dip into Warlock gives you so much in this combination that I hate it.
Yeah.
It's actually, I feel like I'm spinning my tires here because it's just so easy. Like the only thing that doesn't work particularly well is an Eldritch Blast spammer ranged fighter. But you just described like a way that kind of can work.
Yeah.
Even the worst option here isn't a bad option. It's
Right. Like you're still
ridiculous.
getting, again, that'd be 12th level with 11 in fighter, 1 in warlock. You're getting 3 Eldritch Blasts. Well, actually, it doesn't even have to be that high.
No, so you get
Sorry.
War Magic where you can do the cantrip and then
that's
for
it.
bonus action do an attack at 7th.
7th level, right?
Yeah, so that would be 2 Eldritch Blasts. And then, so 8 levels total for the 1 dip in Warlock. On your turn, you can do 2 Eldritch Blasts and then the weapon attack.
And that's great. You're basically giving yourself 3 attacks earlier.
Right.
And, you go a little bit higher, you put that agonizing blast
I was
in.
going to say go 1 level more, go to 2 in Warlock, get Agonizing Blasts.
Now
and
you're
then
adding your
each one
charisma
has
to it.
charisma.
And
or the one that pushes them 10 feet back. Yeah.
so that's actually where I was thinking the other way around.
Why not both?
Where
You get 2.
so you can only use it once per turn. If you are using the pushing agonizing blast or whatever that whatever the invocation is that pushes, it's once per turn. You can't push on every Eldritch Blast.
They did change that.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
That's fine.
But think about it again from that Eldritch Knight where you use your Eldritch Blast to start. There's the other one that pulls 10 feet closer. So you hit him, you pull him 10 feet closer on the second one, maybe.
Right.
And then you smack him with your weapon attack.
Right.
So maybe you don't want to use the bow. That's really cool.
Right.
I really like the idea of that. Just like, boom, boom, 2 Eldritch Blasts go out. The second one just rips them forward and then just pull down with your blade, slashing across them.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and you could have your movement between those two, just for the more mechanical versatility.
Very
you
true.
could do that, pull them 10 feet closer, and then now within 30 feet, then you'd run up and smack them with your bonus action. And that could also, since it's just 1 level dip or 2 level dips, you're going to have your patron, so your Hexblade, and you just focus on the charisma, and you could put, is Hexblade's Curse right away at level 1?
Hexblade's Curse is at level 1, yes.
Yeah, like, throw that on them. I mean, that's a once per long rest thing, or short rest. I can never remember rests.
That one's weird, because that one is a shorter long rest.
That's okay. Once per short.
You can pretty safely assume everything's short rest.
Yeah, the short
Which
rest
is
classes.
why, once again, a fighter pairs so well is because everything they get is short rest.
Yeah, action surge and second wind. Yeah, I think Battle Masters get all the maneuver dice back, right? Yep. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm talking right now.
Hexblade Battle Master.
It's so many options.
Well, yeah, Pact of the Blade.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's exactly as Will said. Like, you're just kind of spinning our tires because it's like you just say something. It's like, wow, that sounds really good, and it's like, is there more to elaborate on that? No, it just sounds so good. Like, that's a great combo. I love that. Battle Master's good. This is the only one. Funny enough, Champion, terrible pick. If you went Hexblade, because that first thing is you get crits on 19 or 20. The only time you really care about that, you've got your Hexblade's Curse.
Right.
Just throw that in there.
Yeah.
But it almost makes Hexblade's Curse less good.
Yeah, I would not roll Champion.
No.
I mean, I actually, that's one of the things. I like the Champion as a subclass, but it's not good.
No.
Like, I'm fully aware of that. I just like its simplicity.
Yeah. And that's totally fair.
Did they get rid of the Brute? They did.
The
UA listed. Yeah, it's not on there anymore. It's not
Psychic Warrior
and Rune Knight, but again, we don't
do UA.
No, I was hoping the Brute was going to become a real thing, though, man.
It's like 6
Well, just
years
because
old.
it's been removed on D&D Beyond doesn't mean that it won't be. I mean, keep in mind, it's not official. They just have a license with Wizard of the Coast.
Yeah, so I think any of the fighter subclasses, as long as you start as a fighter, you can basically do this however you want role-playing wise too. Which is really nice. I mean, it's a little bit weird if you're a warlock and then try and go into fighter, and I don't see that. It's not that it doesn't work.
It's a little weird, but yeah, you would need it to really sell it role-play wise. You would kind of need some downtime and training montages, basically.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to do that mechanically. You could just all of a sudden in the middle of the dungeon now have, action surge or whatever, but it's
action surge too.
Or second wind in fighting style. Yeah, action surge is 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, second level to get action surge.
It's also really good.
Yeah, of course. It's action surge.
I know.
Even if you were really like a spellcasting warlock, action surge and second wind are still good. Hell, even fighting style, you just boost your AC by 1.
Why not?
Yeah.
But I mean, you can still do dueling. Or I'm sorry, is that the one where you get +2 to all of your weapon attacks as long as you only have a one-handed weapon?
Yeah, which
with that weapon, +2 damage with the weapon. Dueling.
Right.
So I think if you're spellcaster, Eldritch Blast Faucet or whatever, it's not gonna.
Right. Yeah, and I think I don't. To go back to this, because I keep going to the Eldritch Blast Faucet with Eldritch Knight. But it doesn't need to be. It really doesn't. You can just stay the course of fighter, go a little bit into warlock, and then you've got some cool versatility.
Yeah.
You've got your Eldritch Blast when you need it, because that is going to be good. You can get some nice spells for the warlock, because, I mean, they don't get a ton, but getting spells back on a short rest is...
2 first level slots every first slot.
Right. I mean...
And you could use your Eldritch Knight spells in the warlock, using the warlock slots.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice. Yeah, I always have to reread how Pact Magic interacts with multiclass whenever it comes up. Yeah, another reason why it's complicated. But yeah, you could, it doesn't really differentiate. This is a warlock, this is a whatever spell. It's the spell slots are the spell slots.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, again, you're getting just some spells. If you don't want to go into that into that Eldritch Knight pigeonhole of just being a spellcasting fighter. You stay the course with Battlemaster, and then you get some nice utility spells out of Warlock.
Right.
And just come back. I mean, maybe even if you're just keeping it low, you're getting some shields. Great. Love it.
Right.
Love shield. You're getting some flavor because now you've made a pact with some otherworldly being that you have to dedicate your life to. So that's great.
Man, I wonder what happens if you don't dedicate your life to your patron.
Find out last episode when we talk about the Deathlock.
Yeah, and 2 levels, then you get 2 invocations. And then, if you go 3, then you get the Pact Boon. So you get like Pact of the Blade, which is of course going to be good with a fighter.
Right.
Or for more versatility, take the Book of Shadows, or I'm drawing a blank on the name, where you can get some additional spells known. I think you get ritual casting with that, or get a really kick-ass familiar.
Yeah.
Which are again always nice. Just a hardier familiar, and then you could kind of give yourself advantage by in combat having these hardier familiars giving you the help action and stuff like that.
Yeah, that one's kind of a little bit on the weaker side, but it's still a very strong choice. And I think it's also a very flavorful choice.
Right. I say we say that it's weaker, but in the sense of like, hey, this is already really good. So yes, in comparison to going into a full-on Eldritch Knight Hexblade mix, it's a little bit weaker, but compared to, I don't know, just to think of one that happened recently, a Ranger Sorcerer, which would you pick? Would you rather a Battlemaster fighter with Pact of the Chain or a Ranger Sorcerer, any mix at all?
I want a Quasit that could turn into centipedes and bats.
Yeah, you do.
Well, of course,
they also, one thing to note, like why I played this so long ago, but they can like turn invisible and shit like that. So you can have like a flying familiar you have a crazy connection with who's invisible. That's crazy powerful for exploration. It's actually broken. And the Dungeon Master has to make sure that you don't fuck things up with it.
Right.
Be prepared for them to see anything, hundreds of feet ahead. It's just going to happen.
Right. And then there's the kind of combination as old as 5e Devil's Sight. So you could get Darkness as a Warlock and Devil's Sight so you could see in it. And then you're also a fighter, so you're really good and with martial and melee attacks and getting yourself advantage on all that. And
you can even, as an Eldritch Knight, you can get Darkness as well. So
Eldritch Knight can get Darkness?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all that you really need is to get the Eldritch Invocation of Devil's Sight, which I don't think has a level requirement.
Nope. So you could take it at 2.
Yeah, so once you get that at level 2, now your Eldritch Knight can cast Darkness at level 7.
Yeah, it's 7.
So it's kind of high up there.
Right.
But still, you can get it.
Right.
And that's... There you go. Good. That's just great.
Right.
Okay, I really want to get off Eldritch Knight. I feel like that's just like... There's other combinations. There's other stuff.
Yeah, they're all fine.
They're all fine.
Arcane Archer feels like it would be a little...
It wouldn't be bad.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe not.
I don't see
just don't go Hexblade.
Right.
Or, wait, isn't there an invocation where you can make your packed weapon a longbow, and then the Hexblade's weapon can be the packed weapon regardless of the type?
Yes.
Something weird like that.
That is correct.
Improved packed weapon, which is the making your packed weapon +1 magical. It gives you short bow, longbow, and both crossbows.
Right. Okay. And then the Hexblade, I do know, it says you have your Hexblade's weapon, and it has to be like one-handed melee or the packed weapon.
Yep.
So there you go. Okay. Make that a longbow. And then you could use your charisma for all that, so you don't have to... So you could just focus on that as an Arcane Archer.
I've talked about Arcane Archer a whole bunch, probably outside of this podcast. I don't love it in staying the course. I don't think that it's the most amazing fighter subclass. I do think that it's a very interesting one to dip only 3 into, or maybe even 5 if you're trying to get extra attack, which I don't think... Does Hexblade get extra
it's an
attack?
Invocation.
Okay, so if you're going Hexblade, then that's not a problem. But
I could free up an invocation pick, though.
That's true.
He said,
that's true. So regardless of how you want to play it, there are some of these... what are they called? The arcane shots that are just universally good, that aren't going to rely on your save too much. One of which is Grasping Arrow, that I absolutely love. So you decide to do it when it hits, which I always love those. And when it hits, the creature hit by the arrow takes an extra 2d6 poison damage, and its speed is reduced by 10. And it takes 2d6 slashing damage the first time on each of its turns it moves a foot at all without teleporting. They can get rid of this against your save DC, or strength save versus your save DC, but it takes them an entire action. So once you hit with this grasping arrow, that thing is taking damage. If they move, they're taking damage. And if they don't want to take damage and they want to move, they have to use an entire action to get rid of it. And they might fail, even if your save is low. And in this type of build, it's probably going to be pretty low because I think it relies on wisdom. And that's making this a little mad, but still not outside the realm of possibility. Compared to, once again, any of the three multi-class requirements that we've talked about. Ranger, Sorcerer was recent, so I'll bring that up again, where that required Dex, Wisdom, and Charisma. That's requiring the same thing. So you've still got like something. The possibility is there at the very least.
Right.
You're never going to get Wisdom to 20 to make that save really hard, but it's there. Oh, it's actually Intelligence. But that's the same idea.
Right.
Wisdom, Intelligence, it doesn't matter. So Grasping Arrow, I absolutely love. I think the other one is like, Seeking Arrow, where it basically just turns a miss into a hit. But I'd have to read all of that.
No, you don't make an attack roll.
You still make an attack roll at all? Yeah. Said choose one creature you've seen in the past minute. The arrow flies towards that creature, moving around corners if necessary, ignoring cover. If the target is within the weapon's range and there is a path large enough for the arrow to travel to it, they must make a Dex saving throw. And they take some damage. Okay, that's not the one. One of these is really good. I think I'd just use Grasping Arrow if I'm being honest. Piercing Arrow lets you shoot through stuff, which is cool. Or through like a line of people.
Right.
And none of this is going to be restricted by whatever you're getting from Hexblade and any of that. I mean, you still are making an attack. These are all things that are added on top of your normal attack.
Right.
So I think Arcane Archer could actually work pretty well, but not as a, go 17 into Arcane Archer and then 3 into Warlock. That'd be a little boring.
Yeah, mainly Warlock, 3 into Arcane Archer. Get some good stuff along the way. Yeah, or like if you're mainly Hexblade, a 3-level dip up to Battlemaster. It's really great. I mean, so Hexblade, and then you get a fighting style, you get second wind, you get an action surge, and then you get maneuvers. And if you started as fighter, just kind of plan it out a little bit, you get heavy armor, and you get proficiency in con saves.
Ooh, yeah.
Which is great, especially for like Hex or something.
Yeah. Save that that concentration. Don't have to get a feat unless you want it. If you want a feat, take the feat for Warcaster. The maneuvers are always great. I mean, there's no arguing that. You just get some... I think my favorites are always the trip attack. So you can, like, on your first attack that hits, trip. Then you get advantage on all subsequent attacks. There's the Repose or Riposte. I forget. You guys always make fun of me for one way.
We make fun of you for both. We don't actually know how to say it. I don't know the correct way.
I can't even read.
All right. Well, either way, that's the one that when somebody when somebody misses you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to attack them with a melee attack and add your superiority die to the damage roll. So those two are like the most important. The other one I think is kind of whatever you want to choose. Really, all of these are whatever you want to choose. I'm just very partial to those two.
Right. But regardless of what you choose, pretty much all of them add the superiority dice as damage.
Yep. Either damage or to your AC or whatever.
Yeah. Really good way to up the damage.
Very good. Damn. I think Cavalier, I mean, that one, that's like the horse riding one, combat medic type.
Which we've determined is not horse riding. They can, but they're not.
Right. Sorry, I was more trying to go of, is it cool to make a fighter who rides horses and is also a warlock? That's basically where I'm going.
What if it's a skeleton horse or something?
Ooh.
That's kind of cool. All right. That answers my question. I think that's probably the main reason I'd go for that. I don't think there's any bad synergy. The unwavering mark, as we talked about in our fighter cleric episode, is actually pretty cool. It's just overall when you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you mark that creature until the end of your next turn, and it basically has to attack you or get disadvantage on its attack. And then if it attacks anyone else, then you can use your special ability, which has a resource cost of up to your strength mod. per long rest to make an additional weapon attack. So you get some extra attacks. You make yourself more of a focus to attack. Overall good, and once again pairs well with Warlock, especially if you cast, what is that armor one? Armor of Agathis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you use your unwavering mark, make it so something has to attack you, and now you've got your temp HP, and you're going to deal out a whole bunch of damage back at them if they do attack you.
Yeah. Yet another good thing to consider here. You're mainly fighter and dip into Warlock a bit to get Hex. A fighter with Hex is fantastic. So they have the con save, so they're gonna the proficiency in con saves, and they get a bunch of attacks, and it will add a d6 to every attack.
Oh,
so
it's
it
not
scales
once per turn.
it scales really well with fighter, and then like even at 11th level, they have 3 attacks. So that's an extra 3d6.
It's just
And then
good.
action surge. So then it will trigger on every action surge attack as well. It's an
And
extra 66.
here's this is,
Even at 5th, that's an extra 2d6, then extra 46. I mean, it's one turn and you're using some resources, but you're starting to outpace like a rogue sneak attack and stuff like that.
Yeah.
this is a little bit later in the game, and this is also something that does limit itself well with the invocation level requirement, which is a warlock level requirement.
Yes.
But Life Drinker, which is a Pact of the Blade thing, gives you your charisma bonus to damage on melee attacks.
Shit.
Not in replacement of
Nope.
anything.
On
Yeah.
top of.
So if you play your cards right, that's plus 10, just flat
Yeah.
per attack.
And what level do you get?
That's 12th. So you can't exploit this to get the fighters 3 attacks, for instance.
Right.
Unless you can level up to like 24 or something.
You might even have a hard time getting 2.
So
That might be a 3-level dip. And then at 15th level, great, you've got that. Which is high, but not unheard of.
and for a plus 10?
Plus 10 is, yeah.
It's
yeah.
just-
I'm with you.
That's at that point, it like rivals an extra attack. It's just like so much freaking damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not even rival.
Plus
Yeah.
10 to each hit? Or is
Yes.
it once per turn?
It's see shit.
Okay, so I mean, there's like the 2 feats, Great Weapon Master and Sharpshooter, which are universally considered great feats because they give you plus 10 damage to your attack with a -5 to hit.
This is only a plus up to 5.
Yeah, this is an extra plus 5.
Okay.
That's if your charisma's
Oh,
20.
right, okay.
It gives you
Yeah.
your charisma modifier.
Right, right,
We
right.
are talking about an extra
So
plus
like
10.
your strength is 20 and charisma are 20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard to pull off.
At level 15.
Yes.
That's like
Yeah.
the only time where this is
Yeah.
even going to be feasible.
Yeah, then fighters do get a lot of ability score improvements.
Oh, but you're probably not going to get those because you're only going 3 into fighter.
Oh,
It might be a little tough.
I think
with
it'd be
point
easy.
buy, I don't know if you could do it. So you would have, I mean, the highest you could get 16.
Right.
So let's say you managed to you do 15, so 16 in each, and work that out with classes or whatever, human or something. So strength is 16, charisma is 16. At level 4, bump 1 up to 18.
Right.
At level 8, 20.
Yeah.
And then
Bump one up to 18.
at 12, and then 16. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it'd take.
It takes some time.
It would take level 16 to get them both to be a plus 10.
Yeah.
Or to get that plus 10 overall.
Yeah.
At level 15, it'd probably be a plus 9. Still good.
I was going to say, yeah, it's still good.
It's just like a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Not going to argue with that.
So that was a little harder to chase, but it really and then you add
But it's
crazy
worth it.
hex shit.
It's worth chasing. Yeah, and then you're adding Hex. Probably just 2 attacks. Get that invocation. It's good.
It's so good.
Is there a bad thing here? Is there like some trap that we want to bring up? Let's talk about the negatives here. What could really mess this multi-class up? What would you warn somebody about?
The Undying.
The Undying Warlock subclass?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's
I don't
fair.
think we've never used it. It's really not very good.
So, Undying, the whole thing is like you're the edgy warlock, which is God, what a stretch.
Oh, this
there.
is the Shadow Warlock, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Shadow Warlock, where you learn Spare the Dying at first level. You have advantage on saving throws against diseases. And what is it? Additionally, undead have difficulty harming you. If an undead targets you
You have
directly
to make
with
it.
an
It's
attack,
basically like the Sanctuary spell, but
Yeah, okay.
only for undead.
That's really specific.
Yep.
So that,
Yeah. If they don't pass their wisdom save, they have to target someone else. And then if you hit them, they're immune to it for 24 hours. And if they pass the save once, they're immune to it for 24 hours. That's super specific. And getting the Spare to Dying cantrip for free is not like
Not that good.
Game changing. No.
No. It's like, oh, somebody died.
I'd say that just stabilizes them, right? That's not even the one where it makes them last like a day.
No,
so you
it's
can,
gentle repose. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, all it does is stabilize them.
Yeah, which isn't bad.
Do they get the
It's
bonus
touch.
to it? One of the
No, that's Grave Cleric.
that's Grave Cleric. That's what I
Yes.
thought.
Yeah.
So Grave Cleric gets it so that they not only get Spare the Dying, but they can also cast it 30 feet away.
Which makes it worthwhile
Okay.
to cast.
Yes.
If you have to touch them, anything else.
Just use your Cure Wounds. Just use your Cure Wounds. Get them back up.
Or a medicine check to stabilize.
Yeah,
which I mean,
whatever.
sure, you could fail that, but
So then at 6th level, they get Defy Death, which doesn't really feel like they're defying death too much. You regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Constitution modifier when you succeed a death saving throw or when you stabilize a creature with Spare the Dying.
that one's actually decent. One death save will get you success, will get you back up.
Am
That's
I
what that's
reading
saying.
that correctly? You can regain... Oh, okay. When you succeed a death saving throw or when you stabilize somebody else. Okay, so you get down, you succeed a single death save. Now you get 1d8 plus your Constitution modifier.
It's a once per long rest. you can
Okay.
use, but
Yeah, I mean, that's...
It's like a souped up version of rolling at 20, and that's every day.
I feel like I'd rather just have the
Anyway,
half work thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Or
I hit
the
0. I missed
Zealot
that one.
Barbarian, something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
a couple of those. It's not horrible. It's just, it's specific.
Yeah.
Don't go down every day. That shouldn't happen every day. And I feel like at 6th level, all of the other Warlock abilities are something that you're going to use every day.
Right.
Hexblade is the Accursed Spectre, where you get just a free Spectre after you kill a humanoid that follows you around for the rest of the day until it dies. For free. I mean, that's much better than if you die, you can get back up if you succeed a death saving throw. With not even that much health.
good.
With like one more in your down health. Not good.
And the next one, the 10th level one, though very cool, is still also not that good.
You can hold your breath indefinitely. Don't require food, water, or sleep.
Yeah, it's the undead nature, and you age slower, but that's compared to the Hexblade where you roll a dice and decide if somebody attacking you hits or not.
Oh my god, that one's so good. That's as a reaction too, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Who balanced the Undying?
Somebody who didn't want anyone to play it.
I mean, the Undying's level 10 is a ribbon ability where I feel like the rests are definitely not. Let's see here. Fiend at level 10 has Fiendish Resilience. You can choose one
Which is
damage
crazy
type after you finish a rest. You gain resistance to damage till you choose a different one with this feature.
Pretty good.
Like, I mean, that's their 10th level
That's
ability.
not
That's huge.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
You think just a single damage type?
Yeah,
You get a free resistance for a damage type every single day.
I understand. It's just it can be kind of specific if you don't know what you're going to fight. Oh, I do
Right.
slashing, and then you face something with bludgeoning.
Isn't
and
it
you're screwed.
elemental?
I don't know. I pulled away from it.
I think
already.
it is.
Yeah.
It's not. It's definitely good. It's better than a ribbon ability. That's what I'm saying. Like the Undying is like a homebrew's mistake, where they don't look at the other subclasses in order to make this subclass.
The problem is
Right.
it's really, really, really solid flavor wise.
yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
Really good flavor, but it's such a crappy class.
yeah. What's their 14th level?
That's the one I was
Indestructible Life?
complaining about before we started this. That's
Oh,
the one.
right.
On your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain your hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Warlock level. Additionally, if you put a severed body part of yours back in place when you use this feature, the part reattaches. You can use it once per short or long rest.
That's just
Second wind.
Yeah, say the first level fighter ability of second win of 1d10 plus your fighter level is better than this.
And how many times have we lost limbs in campaigns?
a lot, actually.
Okay, well that's a specific
Recently,
example.
no.
Yeah, recently. Over the last 3 years, have you lost a limb while playing a D&D campaign?
No.
Okay. How about your characters? I don't think anybody does.
Even when we had that one DM that was like super into it, he always had like a prosthetic waiting around the corner. So it was like, didn't matter. And I said this off, should have saved it for saying it on air, but I'm going to say it on air for the sake of our listeners here. It's the type of thing if somebody actually goes to level 14 in the Undying and get this ability, the DM is probably going to start finding excuses to make them lose limbs to make the sound feel useful.
And if anything,
Until then, it just doesn't come up.
and if anything, it's going to feel not as much useful as it is hilarious. This is the third time Jim's lost his arm in a week. and he just keeps reattaching it. That never happened before, but now that he can reattach it, it happens all the time.
It's
That's
not
funny.
enough to be 14th
Oh yeah,
level
yeah.
class.
No, I totally agree. That's what I'm saying. This isn't like, it's not like you're going to be like, oh wow, I'm super glad I have that. You're going to be like, ha ha ha. The DM is allowed to set up wacky scenarios where I lose limbs now.
Right.
That's it.
Here's the absolute final nail on the coffin. Is their expanded spell list also sucks.
What do they get? False life, ray of sickness,
Those are
blindness and
bad.
deafness, and silence. Feigned death, which is really just worthless. Is feigned death the one I'm thinking of, where you can just pretend to be dead?
Yeah, nobody can tell.
That's such a
Wow.
bad. Okay, speak with dead. Not worthless, but not that good. Are any of these good? Contagion. Contagion.
Blindness, deafness is not bad because
You're
it's
right.
not concentration.
You're right. That's
But
good
I
again.
think
they don't-
Fiend gets that too.
They don't get a... Oh, no, they do have a chance to resave it, but yeah, it's not concentration. And with Warlock spells, since it's always cast at a higher level, it will be able to target more than one thing.
You're right. That's great against
Decent.
spellcasters
Yeah.
as well. You blind them, they lose all of their sight components. Amazing.
Right.
Contagion's also... Is that the... I'm sorry.
That's the one that's incredibly bad if you fail 3 saving.
There it is. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's... If I remember correctly, it's been errated, whatever, to...
It's like erotic, but don't say the IC. Errata.
Sure. It does not take effect until there's 3 fails.
Right.
For a while, everyone kind of played it like you do it, the negative impact happens immediately. And then they start rolling their saves, and they collect 3, it ends, but then they have 3 turns of this, and if they collect 3 fails, then it lasts longer. And now it's been made pretty clear where nothing happens until 3 fails. And it's just not worth it. I mean, these effects are devastating. I mean, absolutely terrible, like making people vulnerable to all damage types, stuff like that, but...
Yeah, I'd take even 1 turn of that over having to fail 3 saves. If they even succeed on 1, they're good, right?
No, I think they have to collect.
Yeah.
It's like
death saves?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's...
Yeah, your touch inflicts a disease. Make a melee spell attack against with your creature on a hit. They're poisoned. Oh, so they are poisoned.
That is
Okay.
good, but not...
Yeah.
But they don't even get... If they got disadvantage on the saves, then fine. But they only get disadvantage on ability checks.
Right.
I think it's attacks too, isn't it?
And disadvantage on attacks. You're correct.
So poison target's turn, they must make a con saving throw. If the target succeeds on 3 of these saves, there's no longer poison and the spell ends. If the target fails 3 of these saves, the target is no longer poisoned. And then you choose one of the diseases below. The target is subjected to the chosen disease for the spell's duration, which is 7 days.
So if I want to just give somebody disadvantage for minimum 3 turns, I'm just going to cast Darkness.
You know, actually, I will say this. Because of the nature of this, which is the interesting save rack ups, this is a really good way to burn legendary resistances.
Okay.
Sure,
that's fair.
but for a 5th level spell.
Well, remember, all spells are 5th level with your Warlock. But yeah, once again, my complaint is that the spells just aren't that good. That's the only good one.
Yeah.
And there's other classes that don't get it.
Only good one in a very specific instance, which is when you're fighting a creature with legendary resistances. I'll totally agree. That's a fantastic time to make something burn legendary resistances. You use 1 spell, you can have it potentially burn every single time here. Well, I guess actually it would make the most sense for the creature. If you're the DM and you're playing intelligently, let it fail twice and then start burning the legendary resistances.
But they're still poisoned.
They're still poisoned.
So you
but
want to
just
chase
keep
down that collection, you know?
I don't know. I still think it's potentially. Well, I guess it depends. If it's a spellcaster, then it doesn't matter as
Or,
much.
you know.
Here's a thought, though. So it's verbal and somatic components, no material or anything like that. Though if you would need to now be a warlock sorcerer, but then subtle spell, where people cannot tell that you're casting a spell, it's to like set up beating the shit out of someone later. You're like in the bar and like, oops, and like as you like bump into them as you're sneaking by and you cast this on them a subtle spell and they don't pick up on it. And then all of a sudden they're just feeling really sick. It's like, oh man, I came down to something, I need to go home. And then you kind of follow him and then you see, all right, this took effect. I'm going to give him flesh rot. And now he's vulnerable to all damage. And now we're going to jump him.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a type of thing you need to like almost try and cast it before combat starts.
Yeah. And then the DM sitting there like, God, this is not going to be a fun fight. This dude's screwed.
That's getting into evil territory. That's just me.
I mean,
let's make this guy crazy sick and then beat the shit out of him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's contagion or like
Yeah.
slimy doom.
Yeah.
The
Warlocks-
creature begins to bleed uncontrollably. They have disadvantage on Constitution checks and saving throws. In addition, whenever the creature takes damage, it is stunned until the end of its next turn. It's like these are the
Right.
encounter ending effects that they go off. So I get why it's so hard, but it's like it's too much. It's
Right.
like it's an in combat thing. It's just not gonna happen. This isn't specifically Warlock talk anymore, but whatever.
Yeah, because our episodes are always so good at staying on
Right?
topic. We never go and stray from the multi-class.
Oh man, I think I actually. Oh shit, I get this as a musty.
Contagion?
Yeah, druid. Yeah, cleric, druid,
And it's
Oathbreaker,
always
Undying,
prepared
and
with
circle
Circle
spores.
Speaking of
Nice.
incredibly good spell lists, all these caster classes kind of have these. That's a good one. The Circle of Spores, you get crazy ones that are always prepared for you.
Yeah.
This one's bad. God, that's a bad subclass.
So, yeah, back to the original point on the Undying, though, to the whole point of the podcast, the fighter, you don't get anything. Like looking through this list here of what they get, it's not the type of subclass where, give it some fighter abilities and now it's going to really excel. It's like you're so much better off going with almost any other.
The only
Warlock
thing
subclass.
I would argue is that if you're like really committed to the flavor, a 1-level dip won't kill you. Where it's not going to give you that great of stuff. We already talked about first level getting Spare the Dying as a cantrip isn't that important, and it's among the undead ability as a whole. It's just not great.
Sure.
But if you need this flavor, at least you get Eldritch Blast.
Here's the thing. The fighter kind of makes it better because it's just a little better.
The fighter's just better.
Like I would prefer to have the fighter stuff if I have to suffer this subclass.
Right.
Sure.
That's about it. No, I mean, like, I kind of, to some extent, agree. It's like, well, if you're just a pure warlock and you're going through this, you get the first level, Among the Dead, 6th level, you get Defy Death. All of them really suck unless you look and you go, oh, but I'm also a fighter, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that kind of makes up for it,
But I don't recommend it. That's like,
Yeah.
I would still recommend literally any other one that you can get a benefit from. But if you're just super obsessed with the flavor, there's at least something there for you. You're teetering on the border of an undead fighter. Okay, that can be cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Just pick any other one.
Just pick any other one. Yeah. But I feel like every time I say that, somebody comes on, like in, through any of the promotional stuff, they'll be like, so, listen to your episode about the fighter warlock, and I'm actually playing a level 15 fighter, level 5, the Undying, and the class is really good. And I'm just like, well, okay, I mean...
Is it? No, it's not. You're just having fun. That's
Right,
fine.
right. Like, you're allowed to have fun.
Fun without having a number crunching session.
Right. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing the class. There's nothing wrong with playing the combo. Heck, somebody's probably going to say that they're playing a full The Undying and that it's good. But that speaks more to the Warlock core than it does to the subclass. You'd still be better if you were playing any other subclass.
From a purely crunchy mechanical
Correct.
thing. In terms of,
Yes.
the character you want to play and the campaign you're in. Yeah, have fun with it.
Yes.
I think we say that every time we're struggling to make a thing work. It's like, if you want to do it and have fun with it, have fun. That's the most important thing. But
It is our job to shit on this stuff to some extent. I mean, like, it's...
But we're talking mechanics and
Right.
role playing.
Right.
And
But
this is the mechanic part of the discussion, and mechanically it sucks.
And we've said multiple times, role playing wise, super cool.
Yeah,
Super cool.
yeah,
So if
I
you're
do-
having fun
yeah,
with it,
yeah.
great. That's so good. But if you want to argue with me about how having Spare the Dying as a cantrip, as a warlock, is actually really good, I'm probably going to stop responding. Sorry, it's been a rough week.
They might actually get it anyways, and this may just make it a free pick.
Like on their list for the warlock?
Yeah, it might just be a warlock spell. I'm pulling it up now.
Don't know.
No, just cleric and artificer.
That makes more sense. Artificer, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah,
Spells are weird.
cleric makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah, that does.
artificer. I don't know. It's like a potion, and you, like break it on them, and it's like I've been spared.
My eyes. I
like to picture that with the artificer. It's not like administering potions.
No.
There's like it's a completely sealed glass vial. All the stuff's in, and they just like just chuck it in, and then shatters over them.
A thumb goes up. I'm good.
See, the glass wounds help the potion get really in there.
Exactly.
It doesn't really absorb through the skin well.
Oh, that
All right,
actually.
next character is going to have to be an alchemist, and that's going to be the flavor. You don't drink my potions; they're absorbed through the skin, but there needs to be some abrasions, so it's just like
Smash
the glass.
it, yeah. I was just that actually did make me think though. An artificer that used like basically needles, like just injected people with their potions.
Oh, jeez.
It's kind of going along that same lines,
Yeah.
but would definitely
It
work.
makes a lot more sense.
It also
actually. It's more realistic.
It also
Yes, I have been to the doctor. It turns out that is usually the preferred method.
so it also would explain why it needs to be within 5 feet. Because otherwise it's like, oh yeah, I smash a potion on you. It's like, well, why can't you do that from 10 feet away? It's like,
My
I can't
aim's
get the,
really
can't
bad.
get the
Yeah.
thrust.
You have to make an attack roll. That's the difference.
Yeah.
If you ever hit something with a bottle,
No.
way easier
I
if
can
you're right
honestly
next to
say
them.
I've never hit somebody with a bottle.
Then you don't care enough about random topics in bars. That's how you know I care. I hit you with a beer bottle.
This is why we stopped drinking together. But again, away from the artificer, though that's cool. Somebody should steal that. Intravenous potions. I like it. Fighter warlock.
Yeah,
Celestial?
other bad
I
ones.
don't like the celestial, but
We-
it's
I don't-
fine.
I think it'd be fine.
It would
yeah.
be such
Such a
disdain.
cop-out.
It'd be fine. Yeah, it'd be fine. It's whatever. No, I mean it'd be cool. I think that you're probably better off going into cleric, but I think that every time with the celestial.
And that's another one that actually pairs incredibly well as the cleric fighter. So
Yeah. So it's like, why are you choosing to rely on charisma? Maybe you're just the face of the party and you've got charisma high and you just want to do that. Okay, fine. You've got some healing. That would probably go well with Cavalier, as we talked about with cleric fighter. You get some healing. You get kind of more of that tanky role.
Yeah.
The only issue is you now have to rely on charisma as well,
Right.
which I guess cleric you had to rely on wisdom. It's something. I
Right.
like their healing light. I think that one's good, where it's you just get a pool of d6s, 1 plus your warlock level. So right out the gate, you get 2d6 healing that you can just give to somebody within 60 feet as a bonus action. Really great, again, for the Cavalier mindset
Right.
of that, battle medic. I'm really hung up on that combo. I really want to play
Cleric fighter.
Yeah, the cleric fighter, Cavalier life cleric. And this actually, keeps going up well, where Radiant Soul isn't just a entire ribbon ability. You get resistance to radiant damage, and when you cast a spell that deals radiant or fire damage, you can add your charisma mod to one of the rolls.
So that brings it
For
back
damage.
into the... It now makes sense to cast things that aren't Eldritch Blast,
Yeah,
is kind of the big one.
right.
Sacred Flame now kind of works.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting, because that almost... It would be something to shoot for if you didn't want to be an Eldritch Blast Warlock, which I think every time that comes up, everyone just kind of agrees, like, if you want to be an optimized Warlock, you lean into Eldritch Blast. If you're not worried about that and you want to play a Warlock, here's a great way to do it. You go the Radiant Soul, now you're... What's the fire cantrip? I'm blanking.
Flame bolt.
Flame Bolt, thank you. Flame Bolt is
know
going to
if
do
they-
pretty
Fire
well.
bolt.
Firebolt makes a lot more sense. And they also
We
get
did
Sacred
just
Flame.
start playing this game,
They also get Sacred Flame, so you can either have it rely on a deck save, or you can make the attack roll, whichever one makes more sense in the context, and get that additional damage. And it's good. I would think after looking at the Undying, any of these Warlock subclasses are amazing, though.
Yeah, that's why it's so upsetting about the Undyings, because they really are very solid. A lot of classes you look at, it's like the core of the class. Like Rogue is an example, where the core is the power.
Right.
And everything you get from your subclass is like additions, but they don't really tilt the balance. Warlock, that's not really the case. You get a lot with these subclasses.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's really all the ones where you get the subclass at level 1 is like that. Sorcerer makes a big difference. Same with cleric.
Definitely.
I don't know. What else we got?
I don't know. I don't have much else, to be honest. And
Yeah, it's.
I think
we could. I know we could just keep going through and picking out these little combinations, and that's great, and that's great, and it's really hard to go wrong.
Yeah. I'm
with
there
it.
with you.
Like, I mean, samurai we haven't talked about.
The only thing, Samurai always feels like a weird one to multi-class with, and that's all I'll really say about it, where it's just like, when I just have such a burned in image of what a samurai should be, and
Right.
adding in like a warlock patron just feels like,
That's actually the one that I would give it.
Really?
Like just like Japanese mythology is incredibly rich, and none of us know anything about it because we're not Japanese.
You know more than I do, obviously.
Because I
Go
watch
for
way
it.
too much anime. But you got the crazy demons, like
Yeah.
Onis and shit like
Right,
that.
right,
all
right.
Japanese, and they're like perfect. And there's tons and tons of stuff about like corrupted samurais
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
you're a
actually
samurai for a Japanese demon.
That makes a lot of sense.
Every combination just kind of works.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was hoping to find one that I didn't like. Never mind. Sorry, Will. You were right. Warlocks are the best class.
They really are. Man.
Man, that is a cool one. I want to play that. Does somebody want to fucking run a one-shot for me?
So we can play every single suggestion we've made.
It's just a one-on-one one-shot, and you control 5 characters of all these.
I'll make
Yeah,
a different
yeah.
voice for each of
Yeah.
them. Not going to be good. Not going to be good at all.
I expect really good inter-party conflict in roleplay.
I would try.
It's like that Pixar short where the old man's playing chess against himself.
Ooh, that'd be good.
You know, it's actually, that would be a lot less awkward than DMing for yourself, that's for sure.
Oh, I have the DM for myself too?
I'm just suggesting.
So I'm DMing for myself while also playing all of the characters. I think I'm going to stream this.
You might get views, but not for the right reasons.
If it was a scripted thing,
Yeah.
I could see it be done really well. You do the type of thing where you there's 5 clones of you in all of the chairs at once.
Right.
You just have like a different colored shirt on.
Yeah.
Sort of. But you'd have to like really script it and plan it out and like kind of make a comedy thing out of it. I could see that doing well on YouTube. Not streamed though.
Don't give away our ideas, Kevin. We got to do that.
Are we really going to do that? That sounds like a whole lot of work.
It's not that hard,
You just fix it in post.
yeah.
Just fix it in post for us.
No.
Kevin.
The effect of having like 5 Jareds sitting around a table is
Yeah.
not that hard when filmed right.
Okay.
The scripting it and then acting it out with correct timing and comedic timing is
that'd
going to be
a bitch.
tough. Yeah.
the comedic
Especially
timing
because
part's
you
where I
are
lose.
not even remotely an actor.
Yeah. Or funny.
Yeah, no. It'd just be cringe.
Or even worth looking at. I'm in podcast format for a reason.
You got a face for radio, buddy.
All right. So let's move on from
Jared,
Fighter Warlock.
I
Yep.
think you're handsome.
Let's move on from this entire conversation because I want to move on to the fact that, Kevin, you're handsome as well.
Thank you, Jared.
Will.
See, they have to lie.
Well,
They pick
the-
the handsome guy,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, we can be mean to him."
You're a person.
That's actually, that's not even an insult.
I was going to
Pretty
say,
generous of you.
you have a great personality. I like the fact that you challenge me at every step. Because of you, I'm a better person as I've seen what the lowest of the low can be.
Oof.
He's not wrong.
And with that, we move on to our promotional period. If you do not yet, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is monsters_multi. Subscribe to our subreddit, which is monsters and multi-class, or I guess r/monsters and multi-class, where you can get updated on any of our episode releases, discuss the episode releases. Really, you can do this on either of the social medias. I manage both. Also, we recently started having a Patreon to try and pay for some of the costs of running a podcast. Main thought right now is if we get a couple, we can start transcribing episodes, which is always great for people who don't want to listen to our dumbasses talk for an hour and a half.
It's easier to go back and reference crap and
That too. I'm sure there's like a
that.
ton of benefits.
And then selfishly, it really helps our SEO. But I don't think our listeners care about that.
I actually didn't even know that, to be honest.
Really?
Hey,
Yeah.
I don't keep
That's
up with
like
stuff.
the big reason why you always hear like, oh, you should transcribe your podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that helps with SEO a lot.
Okay. Well,
But
yeah.
yes, from the listener's perspective, it's easier to go back and reference things, or if you're in a situation where you can't listen, but you could read through it.
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead and take a look at that. You get access to our Discord. Also plan on, as long as Kevin is able to edit the podcast early enough, releasing the episodes a day early, at least hours early. No guarantees on that. Such a good Patreon. Subscribe to it. We're so consistent.
I was going to say, I didn't know you were going to throw that one out there. I know
If
we
it
talked
happens.
about it.
If it happens.
Yeah,
If it happens.
I can't promise that.
No.
I got a newborn at home. Don't list that officially on the Patreon.
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
didn't. It's
All
just
right.
right here. I'm like, hey, you
All
can
right,
get
yes.
that.
If it happens to be done early, we'll share the link with you.
Yeah.
Don't sign up for that reason.
Just leave it at that. Yeah. Don't sign up for this. Don't do it. Don't do it. No, please do if you want to support us. Also, leave
if you're able to, obviously, you'll keep listening to us for free.
Yeah.
Absolutely no problem.
No pressure.
We love all of you.
Except for Mark in Milwaukee. Milwaukee Mark. Holy shit. Hate that guy.
Oh, that's going to be a fun Patreon tier. We'll insult you on the show.
I don't want to go this direction, please.
We'll just roast you. All right, so moving on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Flail Snail. All right, so this episode, we're taking a look at the Flail Snail from Volo's Guide to Monsters. This is a snail that has a head of flails. It's a flail snail.
Really?
Yeah.
Flail snail? It's a snail?
For the most part, it's not really like a hostile creature by any means. It kind of just roams the countryside.
Unaligned.
Just eating whatever is in its way. But it seems like it's going to be very sought after, as throughout its lore, it talks about how its shell is worth a bunch of money. It also leaves behind like a very thick pane. It basically leaves glass behind, like a pane of glass in its wake.
Yeah, like its slime hardens.
Yeah, and so that can be like collected. And I think that you're not going to be able to use this as a BBEG in your team.
Shit.
But I think it makes for a very interesting encounter and a fun hook to a quest. But it's like such a classic, you find it on the job board, like, oh, there's been sightings of a flail snail. I really need its shell. Get me its shell and I'll give you some money.
Right.
Perfect.
Oh, but how much money?
How much
a
exactly?
Lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's the issue. It's like, I'll give you 600 gold if you go kill that flail snail and get me its shell. It's like, oh, sick, sweet deal. It's like, no, that is a very bad deal.
Yeah, that is a super bad deal. Before we even get to talking about the stats, which I'm sure we will, I think a good way to make this as a hook is one of the parts is its shell can give you basically a reflection shield, a spell guard shield, as it's called, that like reflects magical attacks for a month.
Sorry. Well, it's a little weird how
go ahead.
That it's so it shells 250 pounds. It's worth 5,000 gold.
Yep.
Which is insane. And then it's saying a skilled armor can make 3 shields on the shell for 1 month. The shields will give the wielder the snail flail's anti-magic trait, which we'll get to.
Right.
And then after the month, it becomes inert, but it's a very exotic fancy shield, and saying it's perfect for creating the spell guard shield if you use the magic item crafting rules. It's like a good base for that. That's what it's saying.
So I think what a better hook is than I will pay you 600 gold is, hey, if you get me this shell, I'm going to get 3 of these anti-magic shell shields. I'll give you 1 of them. And, afterwards I can make it into a spell guard shield.
Yeah, and the spell guard shield's awesome. I don't know how I didn't know about this. It's a pretty simple thing, but it's really great. So if you are holding it, you have an advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects, and spells attacks have disadvantage against you. Also, it increases your AC by 2. That's standard shield stuff. Okay, yeah. I misread that, but yeah. So,
but still,
that's awesome. Yeah,
magic saves. I mean, that's a really powerful shield.
Yes.
So I almost wonder, when would it be a good time to make your party fight this? Because that's a strong magic item.
Yeah, except it still needs to be made, which is astronomical. It's a very rare magic item that's like astronomically expensive. I don't remember what. I don't have those rules up, but
as far as expense is concerned, I could see the quest giver being like, all right, I make anti-magic shields and I need flail snail shells. You get 1, I get to make 2. And he'll do the cost for you.
Right.
Because he's going to make a shitload of money,
Right.
So that's the idea. It's like making your own magic items is probably not a road to go down.
Yeah. Well, the one that lasts for 1 month.
Even if he was making actual
the spell guard shield.
Yeah. Spell guard shields incorporated or whatever probably needs a lot of flail snail shells.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Except for then, that does kind of put it at an odd level, because it's a very rare magic item that you would want to give it to a high level character, and the Flail Snail is challenge rating 3.
So here's my idea on that is the hunt of the flail snail is not exactly the most exciting thing. So you have to go find the flail snail in a very dangerous dungeon and then just go stomp the snail. Now, like, why is this flail snail in a very dangerous dungeon? It's like, why are these monsters are not going to eat the flail snail? They're not going to. He looks gross.
Yeah.
So thinking about it more, I think a way that I would probably introduce this, especially in our current campaign, is basically while you guys are traveling, you notice that there's just a trail of this weird goo. Roll a nature check, figure out that this is probably from a flail snail, and their shells are worth a shit ton. Now that's a good hook, because now you guys, maybe I give you some more of this information about what exactly the shell can do, and now it's up to you guys to track it down, which might be some checks along the way. As you said, Will, the hunt for it isn't going to be that exciting until it's in a very dangerous location. Now there's like a bunch of hurdles that you need to overcome. And then once you get the shell, there's still the question of, okay, now who can make this into a shield?
Yeah, it's also 250 pounds. The flail snail is large. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's a good way to do it. So there's, yes, if the quest is to just go find a snail, kill the snail, probably not going to be too interesting, or you're going to be giving a low-level party way too much. Which, for some DMs, that's fine.
Right.
That's, like, totally cool. I think that's a lot at our table where I don't want to do that.
That's fine.
But I could see a lot of DMs just being like, yeah, cool, now you've got this awesome shield for the next month, and then afterwards you've got it for a little bit, and you guys have 5,000 gold, which, how could that be unbalanced? Who cares about money?
Another way to frame that, the hunt for it, is there's a bunch of competition.
Yeah,
there's
too.
Like a lot of these adventuring parties going out to try and so you need to fight them off, but like you don't want to kill them because I mean it's not like they're evil and you're not evil. It's like, all right, so you're like in competition for it, but you have to be like a little guarded on how you do that and find like quicker and all that
sounds
stuff.
like a Disney movie setup, but not like the entire movie, but like just a part of a Disney movie, and not in a bad way, just in the sense of like you might not want to resolve that through conflict or through combat, where maybe it's like, oh, the flail snails, up on top of a cliff and you guys are 200 feet down. That group is starting to walk around because it's safer. You can try and race them up the hill, or you can try climbing up this 90-degree angle rocky precipice.
Right.
Cool. All right. Now there's like a fun montage scene with everybody trying to climb.
Right.
That's admittedly a great time for skill challenges from 4th edition that I know are in some ways making a resurgence. I have not figured them out yet, to be honest, so I stay away from them. But I see that being a cool way of doing it.
Yeah. And the whole time the flail snail is just up there kind of like unoblivious, like munching on something.
Right.
And that like typical kind of cute like Disney animation way.
Right. You like keep cutting back to it, where you like explain like, oh, you're climbing up, oh, you almost slip, and your hands are starting to bleed from grabbing onto these rocks, and cut to the flail snail. He currently found a nice patch of minerals that seems very excited by. It starts munching on it and cute little noises.
Yeah.
That's exactly the noise you make when you're a snail eating rocks.
I assume it is. My animal sounds are nothing but accurate, Will.
Right, so its mouth is up close to the flail, so it's kind of shaped like a regular snail, and it has like it's a shell, and then out of it's kind of this long neck of a sense, and it ends in this kind of like fanned out thing. It almost looks like a hand that the fingers are flails,
right?
And on like the palm of that hand is its mouth. So I kind of like to picture it like it's going along and it sees something it wants to eat. Its entire neck and like hand and flails just slam into the ground.
Yeah. No, I think, again, there's actually a lot of different ways to throw this in.
Yeah.
And none of it really should be that the flail snail is a difficult fight. But it still can be a difficult fight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think this one, to get into the stat block, is a little bit... It's a little bit misleading as a challenge rating 3.
For sure.
Because the first thing is health-wise and armor class-wise, it's got a 16 AC, nothing too crazy, but still pretty good for challenge rating 3. 52 hit points, also again, not bad for challenge rating 3.
Right.
Really low speed, 10 feet.
It's a snail.
It's a snail. Damage immunities to fire and poison, conditioning immunities to poison. It's got dark vision out to 60 feet, tremor sense out to 60 feet, and it doesn't know any languages, so it's really slacking there. But its anti-magic shell is kind of in line with the Morkoth that we were talking about the other day, where it can reflect a spell almost.
Right.
But regardless, so the snail has advantage on saving throws against spells, and any creature making a spell attack against the snail has disadvantage on the attack roll. If the snail succeeds on its saving throw against a spell or a spell attack misses it, an additional effect might occur as determined by rolling a d6. So, 1 to 2, if the spell affects an area or has multiple targets, it fails and has no effect. If the spell targets only the snail, it has no effect on the snail and is reflected back to the caster using the spell slot level, spell save DC, basically the same spells, just reflected back. 3 to 4 is no additional effect. 5 to 6, the snail shell converts some of the spell's energy into a burst of destructive force, and each creature within 30 feet of the snail must make a DC 15 con saving throw or take 1d6 force damage per level of the spell. Alright, so to unpack that, that means on a 1 or a 2, this spell's getting reflected. On a 5 or 6, the snail's just exploding out some energy and dealing damage based on spell level.
Yep.
And it has advantage to make these things happen. So, spellcasters are going to have a bad time against this.
Yeah. So what's interesting when it's talked with the Morkoth, I think, Will, you said it, where that kind of spell reflectability, it almost seems like it's too much because it always sucks to spend a really high level spell slot and have someone just pass the save and nothing happens. And then on top of it, then like that's not enough for you. Now the Morkoth is going to like reflect it back. And it's like, yeah, I get that. That's really annoying. For some reason with the Flail Snail, it just doesn't bother me.
It's because like look at the I'm aligned with the Flail Snail. Anybody hunting this guy, like I would protect the Flail Snail.
Oh my god.
I just came up with this, but like how to make this a hard fight. There's like literally a cult, like a very powerful cult devoted to Flail Snails.
Oh my god. It doesn't even be a cult, just a druid circle.
Yeah.
Why? They don't want you. You're just killing this Flail Snail just because
challenge rating what, like 13 arch druids? Like,
right?
No, you're not killing the fucking Flail Snail.
That's great. I didn't even think about that. Just a protection group. Just like, no, this thing's living its life, doing absolutely nothing. It provides us a valuable resource, like the world a valuable resource by its trail being glass.
Yeah, it's saying people will make livings following the Flail Snail, harvesting its glass, and like it can be melted down in other metal glass shapes and make windows and stuff like that.
It's like, and you're telling me you're just gonna come in here, this thing's minding its own business, and you're gonna kill it just because its shell's worth some money? No. Fuck you. We're going to fight you. That's great.
And that actually does kind of make him the big bad evil guy in its own way.
Yeah.
Like the big bad evil guy is technically the guy protecting it, but then you have to kill the Flail Snail.
Which still just continuously can cut back to the Flail Snail just doing nothing, but being completely oblivious. While like arguments and these massive fights are breaking out between it, and you just see it just slowly...
Ooh, rock. But even regardless of that, it's just I think maybe it's the challenge rating. The Morkoth is like you're gonna fight at a higher level. It's like it's clearly like the boss,
right?
And having an entire action wasted and then made even actually worse against you on a boss sucks.
Right.
A challenge rating 3 Flail Snail. It's like, oh, look at the little guy reflected back at me.
Oh, I'm so mad. But whatever.
He got me. It's like whatever. You know you're not dying from this.
Right.
I mean, it's
right. So then next is, I want to get to its flail tentacles last, actually. So I'm going to talk about its actions next. So its actions, it does have a multi-attack. The Flail Snail makes as many flail tentacle attacks as it has flail tentacles, all against the same target, which is...
It starts with 5.
Yeah, it starts with 5. And I think that's kind of interesting that it's all against the same target every time, because that's like, I guess, kind of telling of how it fights.
It's more telling that this is a fucking snail. It's not like tactical,
right,
like,
right.
that guy, bam, gotta
Right.
break the wizard's concentration,
Right.
bam.
I just think it's interesting that they put that in. It's not very often that they like put hard guidelines into the multi-attack like that are saying like, oh, this is just because of this is how it fights. Yeah. You're right, though. It's because it's a snail and it's not going to think further than I need to kill this thing in front of me. Its flail tentacle is pretty good, to be honest. +5 to hit, reach of 10 feet, and 1d6 +3 bludgeoning damage. Once again, that's 5 times. 5d6 plus 15 if all of those hit.
Challenge rating 3.
Challenge rating 3. That's like a bit misleading, but really good.
I mean, that's what they said in the flavor text. Everyone's like, oh, look at this stupid snail. And they walk up to it and BAP! Just like destroy the guy.
Ooh, that'd also be really comical to watch, where you just get like you're traveling with a guide, and he's like, "Oh, that's the flail snail. All right, I finally got it." Runs up to it, just like smack.
Yeah.
Whap down in one hit. I guess 5 hits. Then it has its scintillating
Yeah.
shell. Recharges on a short or long rest. The snail's shell emits dazzling colored lights until the end of the snail's next turn. It sheds some light out for 30 feet, and creatures that see the snail have disadvantage on attack rolls against it. In addition, any creature within the bright light and able to see the snail when this power is activated must succeed on a DC 15 wisdom saving throw or be stunned until the light ends. Once again, DC 15 is pretty high for a challenge rating 3. Then last is its shell defense. The flail snail withdraws into its shell, gaining a +4 bonus to AC until it emerges, and it can emerge from its shell as a bonus action. I don't know why exactly it would do that.
I do know why it would do that. That would be like the default generally as a snail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Fair.
if you're thinking tactically as the DM, it's when there's other stuff fighting with it.
Right.
Like the archdruids. It's just that it gets scared and then just like whoop.
Yep.
Do it shell.
Perfectly fair.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be such a dick move if you guys were having a like fight against the archdruids, and it's just like, you know what, we're kind of done with you. We're just gonna kill the snail, like, just to piss him off. Like, yeah, this fight's gonna be over real quick once the snail's dead, anyways. Or is it because of its flail tentacles? So this is just one of its passive abilities. As Kevin mentioned earlier, it has 5 flail tentacles to start. Whenever the snail takes 10 damage or more in a single turn, one of its tentacles dies. If even one tentacle remains, the snail regrows all dead ones within 1d4 days. If all of its tentacles die, the snail retracts into its shell, gaining total cover, and it begins wailing, a sound that can be heard for 600 feet, stopping only when it dies 5d6 minutes later. Healing magic that restores limbs, such as Regenerate spell, can halt this dying process. So when you do this, it's just going to suck up into its shell and then just start screaming. Doesn't even have any effects. It doesn't do anything. It just starts screaming.
Well, that's the effect. If you somehow manage to sneak past the druid circle, then you kill the snail and you're like, we got him! It's like, ah! And then all the druids just start charging in.
Oh,
and
that's a good point.
I'm going to check out Regenerate now. I bet druids get that.
Yes, and it's a 7th level spell.
Jeez, yeah.
Imagine doing that for a snail.
Yeah.
It would send the message that they actually are pretty serious about that.
That's very true. So the other side of things here is that if you're not tasked with killing the flail snail or retrieving it, you might be tasked with protecting the flail snail. So this would be something that maybe the party doesn't fight, but is fighting something trying to get it, and that would be an interesting part of it.
Right.
Or again, basically replace every time you said the archdruids for your party, where they wake up in the middle of the night and they just hear that screaming.
Fuck, somebody got the snail.
Oh man, who wasn't keeping watch well enough?
You could actually really like kind of waylay the party by assigning this at a semi-high level. It's like, all right, you need to protect the flail snail, and you're level 13, 14 parties like, what? It's like, I need you to spend a week in the flail snail cave protecting the snail.
Right.
Like,
There's some flail snail
what
hunters
the fuck
that are
you
coming.
talking about?
And
And
your
then
job to watch
150 guys show up. Because that's like, you could pay 150 guys enough to fight for you with 2,500 gold.
Right.
It's not hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit. Perfect.
Yeah.
It was good.
Or just moving through an area. I kind of got the impression they don't stop anywhere. They don't live anywhere. It's just like it's moving close to a city and people are freaking out about like the druids or whatever hire you to escort it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh,
Like,
an escort mission?
since it's D&D, it wouldn't be too bad. But if this was put into a video game and it's 10 feet speed,
And they don't give you a button to walk that fast. It's like,
even if they
Why do games
did,
do that? I'm sorry.
just
I
bad
need
design.
to stop on that for a second. If you're doing an escort mission or have to follow somebody, if you don't have something to make you walk the same speed, you're a bad game designer, and you need to hang up your game design shoes.
and it happens a lot. Sometimes it's like bizarre ratios. Like you're 1.2 times as fast as the
Right.
person you're escorting. You're like, why?
I know the reasoning is it's like if they matched your speed and for whatever reason you fell behind, you will never catch up. So you need to catch up. But there are more nuanced ways to handle it.
Yeah.
Where it's like I definitely know these games that do it well. Where
Red Dead Redemption, just like hold a button and then you just
you basically
Yep,
just like
those are fine.
lock onto each other and just go.
The ones that
Something
like
that.
horror problems, I can think of like Borderlands 2 because I played the crap out of that. Where they'll have times where an NPC needs to do something, and it's just like an out of like combat, just a mission thing, and the NPC just walks at like 2 miles per hour, and you're just like, oh my god, move, please, just move quicker. And it's like, follow me.
put some muscle in the
Like,
stuff,
oh my
buddy.
god, can we just speed this up?
Yeah.
Or again, have a button to follow them.
Yeah, or no, like MMOs, it's common where it's like they're not necessarily going slow, but they go slower than you're running, so you could catch up to them because it's just how that engine's built. It's like having that variable speed. I'm not a developer, but I imagine it would be difficult to get that to work in like an MMO type environment.
Probably.
So they just kind of,
It's a big
maybe they just shouldn't put escort requests then.
Yeah, I think again. Okay, back to what you were saying. In D&D, escorting the Flail Snail would be a fantastic mission.
Yeah, you could have some fun with it where you narrate that type of annoyance, but the players don't have to actually go through it.
Right.
So everyone kind of knowingly laughs about it, and
Right.
then you move on.
Right. Or like, you just find that it's like pretty, because it mentions in here in its Trail of Treasure, or maybe before that, where it just wants to find like, where is it? I'm not even seeing it. It likes finding shinies, including like mineral deposits and crystal growths and whatnot. The party might realize like, oh, this thing's really good at finding those like crystal growths, and that's kind of worth money in its own way, isn't it? Give them something interesting to notice while following this thing around for an escort.
Right. So you're going to steal the poor Flail Snail's shinies? You're going to like make it lead you to it and then like rip it away from him before it has a chance to eat it?
I'm not doing anything, Kevin. It's what the players
A good
do.
way to get flailed.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be funny too. The party thinks it's a good idea. They take it, and the Flail Snail just
It
comes
starts
over
its
slowly.
wailing and then...
Oh my god, the wailing too. That'd be good.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be when it dies. It can obviously physically do it.
That's a good point, actually. That would be mostly just hilarious.
Yeah.
Just
The
overall.
DM screaming is always fun.
Yeah.
So it starts wailing, its flails just boom. Like, oh god, okay, and toss it back.
So okay, then you could really develop a personality for this thing.
Yeah.
As the DM being the Flail Snail, you make your party absolutely love this thing and protect it at all costs.
Yeah.
You guys might be seeing one of these soon, if I'm being honest. We're doing a lot of travel.
Yeah.
I feel like it's super fitting. I'm in love with this.
Yeah. It is. It's another one of those monsters. This one, since it is actually it's an elemental. It's not a beast, but it's like so low intelligence and all that. You initially have the impression of like, this is random encounter fodder.
Right.
But it's actually not. Like, I think it's just a 1-on-1 fight. It kind of sucks with its 10-foot speed and no ranged attacks.
Right. You're just going to keep walking backwards.
Yeah. You just kite it around. Like, even if like half the party doesn't have to, just sits there.
Well, after
it's like only 52 health.
After the first two surprises, it stops being fun and it's just over. Your fighter gets absolutely beat to shit by the first attack.
Right.
Maybe he retreats.
Yeah.
And then your wizard follows it up with a firebolt. And that hits him right back in the face. And they're like, all right. I think that's it for the bag of tricks. And they just like kite it with
Crossbows and bows and throw javelins at it. Yeah.
That's fair.
And
Now-
it's the type of thing, it's like, it's almost unfortunate because then it makes the fight less fun for the players, but it's what people do. It's what we do. I mean, video games, but definitely, I think it applies here where people will kind of like optimize the fun out of their games.
Right.
And I think this is very much one of those situations. They would just optimize their own fun out of the game without even consciously realizing you're kind of ruining it for yourself by doing this, but people are going to do it.
Yeah. No, I think that's something that like I don't think there needs to be a mechanic behind this, but I've seen you do this before, Kevin. I've done it as well, where when I don't want my PC to know something, but I know something, and it's like, I see how you could make that logical jump. It's like, I'm just going to roll for it. And if I get like a bad roll or whatever, I'll set a DC for myself, then I won't get it. So maybe I'm the druid who, I don't know why I'm attacking this thing. Maybe that's a bad example. I'm the sorcerer who's attacking it. I'm dumb. And, throw the spell, it reflects back at you, and you're like, hey, what the fuck? And then you cast another spell because you do a low roll, and you're like, even though Jared isn't dumb and knows what's going on, Fiducis, that's their name. It's such a good name. They're just like, oh, let's just keep on hitting this thing with fireballs. And then the entire party's like, stop!
Just like whacking his spellcast focus. Something's wrong with this thing. It usually doesn't do this. I think it's running low on whatever magic's made of. And everyone's just like, fucking sorcerers.
Right. So, I mean, you're 100% right. People are they're into self-preservation in D&D. They don't want to just get themselves killed. But in a fight like this, I guess having some metagame knowledge and allowing yourself to ignore it could be more fun. It could make for a sillier fight.
Right.
I think it's just a great centerpiece for whatever stupid thing that we've suggested.
Totally agree. I think it's one of those things that it sounds like such a short little like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go get the Flail Snail, whatever. And then like 6 weeks later, you're like, oh my god, we're still dealing with this Flail Snail thing.
This quest has spiraled out of control.
Right.
You're fighting off like demons coming in for its shell and shit like that. No, at one point, as you kind of crescendo to the end of it, you need to wait for the moment as the DM and try and set up with it where like things are going south for the PC and the players, and like someone's about to die, and then the Flail Snail just out of nowhere wakes up actually and just beats the shit out of something saving the day.
Yeah.
It's been completely just going along oblivious to everything up to that point. It's like, oh, holy shit, okay, it actually hits really hard.
Yeah.
Just take out the demon or the bandit or whatever.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is really fun. I'm surprised that we've never fought one of these.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty iconic. Like I've always known what it is.
Yeah. I've heard about it. It's same in the realm of flumps, though we talked about flumps. Flumps?
Isn't it flumps?
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Those are harder to get a party to fight.
I don't know why you would ever fight that.
I don't know either. This thing, I get why you would fight it.
They're like challenge rating 0 and lawful good.
Some people just want to watch the world burn, Kevin.
I don't think they have an attack.
Some people just want to watch the world explode.
I mean, you can kill whatever. Like, things don't have to have an attack to kill them, Kevin.
Yeah.
But it's not a fight. It's just...
It's not my job to tell PCs not to kill stuff.
It's a massacre.
I'm getting my like bullying desire out on these poor films.
Well, one thing I really love how they did with this in the Flamer, we went through the details already, is how they actually go into details of its monster parts. What you could use it for.
Yeah.
You get the shell and then you can make this, or we didn't talk about it, you could grind up the shell and use it to make a robe with scintillating colors.
Yeah.
Because you can make a dye out of the ground up shell. And then the mucus trail it leaves behind could be a glass-like substance to be harvested to make glassware and stuff like that. I love how it goes into that flavor because we don't do it anymore because like we're pretty all experienced players and kind of realize that just it's not part of D&D unless the DM really works on it. But I remember when we first started playing, we would like kill a beast in a random encounter, and we know it was like it's kind of a rare thing. Like we killed like a chimera or something. I remember specifically with that, and we spent so much time trying to figure out, all right, what can we harvest off of this? This thing's crazy. There's got to be worse stuff. The chimera scales and its heart and all that, and its fangs and everything, and it always ended up being like, not much came of it. The DM kind of threw us a bone, and like had everything worth like a couple gold, but it was never exciting, and we just sort of stopped.
Right.
And it kind of then we haven't done it since. If they gave the treatment that they have for the Flail Snail to like all sorts of different beasts and things like that, that would be really cool.
I 100% agree. And this actually is a great segue into honestly promoting somebody else's work right now.
Oh, we're gonna do it?
Yeah.
All right.
No. Just really quick. So somebody that I talk to a lot, Cinderblock Sally on Twitter, sent me a thing that he worked on. He worked on the art. It's called Armaroon's Almanac, Forest of the Realms. It's on DM's Guild. It's a homebrew thing all about the Forest of Faerun. And every single monster in that actually has that.
Oh.
It has like a really interesting like breakdown of like what you can do with their body parts. Not for every single one of them, but like with a couple. And it was the exact same thing. Is kind of well timed as I saw it earlier this week. Then I saw the Flail Snail. I 100% on board. I love that idea of just like you have something that's worthwhile. The monster itself has parts of it that are worthwhile. It allows us to do everything that we just talked about of setting up these absolutely ridiculous quests, just even though the fight itself isn't that entertaining.
Right.
even more, I mean, I think it's something that as the DM, when you have this, you said it's hard for the DM to like come up with stuff, but when you have it already, it's easy to make that nature check or whatever, history check, whatever makes sense, and then say, hey, you guys know that that's worth something, or you can turn it into something else if you talk to the right person. Great.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So I would like to start doing that, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah. If that little cross-promotional thing there was a plan, that would have been smooth as fuck. I like perfectly set you up for that. I did not know that you were going to bring that up. I was not.
Yeah. It's just, it fit, and I got to say,
it was fine.
It was really, really cool. And also, I did get a promotional copy, that should be stated. So it wasn't for this show.
Right.
It's entirely separate. He just sent it to me because we're friends.
You guys are kind of buds, yeah.
But I really did like it, and I will say that again.
I will say this. I like the reverse of that too, where there's the robe of scintillating colors and the anti-spell shield. I don't like the I don't have to explain shit, it's magic approach to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Well, how do you make a robe of scintillating colors?
Colors.
The default is I take a robe and I put magic into it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's so lazy. You have to go get a snail. Like, there has to be ingredients for this shit.
Right.
So I like the idea that both these magic items are exclusively made by Flail Snail shells.
Right.
And every single one of them, no matter who makes it or how they make it, it all started with a Flail Snail shell.
Right. And I said this to you dismissively, I think a couple episodes ago, around like, oh, I want a better druid armor. But I think this is perfectly in line. Not the Flail Snail specifically, but just I want better armor, but it can't be metal. Great. Let me take a look at like some monsters that might be. If Musty wants to go around and ask people like, hey, you're a somebody who studies this entire realm. Can you give me some information on something that would be good for this? I don't know what it'd be called. What, a biologist, I guess?
Zoologist would be specific for animals.
Thank you. Zoologist would be good. Just like, what would be good? And then, it's up to you to decide if you're cool with just killing the thing. I don't care. I don't know. I don't.
Just dumb animals.
Said the druid. But I mean, that's like, it gives you something to go towards. And I think magic items do actually say that they should, in the creation, should normally require a specific material. Mm-hmm. Like it says that, it just doesn't give you specific materials. I would love, in the same vein as if the magic items listed, this is created with these components. You can get them from these weird monsters.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so good. I want a book around that, because we could just run entire campaigns around that idea of, trying to get the materials.
You're a magic item shop. That's the entire idea of the campaign.
Perfect.
Oh,
you get a special
you can spin off
request.
so many interesting quests and adventures and crap off of just going out to get the ingredients.
I'd feel a little bad, but this I kind of wouldn't, because I feel like the artificer should also kind of have to do that.
They do.
They have to.
Yes, it says in the magic item creation, it talks about needing a specific component. They just do it better. Yeah, it says that. It says in the magic item creation.
Well, they don't tell you what you need.
Correct.
So we would have to make a table for.
Oh yeah, we'd have to make it up.
Yes.
Yeah. They're infusions. They don't need that, but that's different. That's quite literally infusing with magic.
And they only get a couple of those, so they can't just like sell those unless you do what we talked about in the Artificer episode, which is running a running a scam, and that's not a good idea.
With your transmutation wizard.
Actually making the magic items, great setup. Especially even having an artificer actually makes it better, because now you're like, oh, it's really not profitable to make magic items because it takes so darn long. And it's like, hey, we got an artificer who's really good at this. Great. Let's go collect some components and let's kill us a flail snail. We got a lot of money to make.
I like it.
Fuck this campaign, guys. I'm throwing it out. That sounds awesome. I want to play that.
I love it.
Or run it or whatever. I don't want to run it. I don't want to make all the
what
you need. Maybe somebody's made a book of that. Somebody has.
I don't know. I feel like actually, if I go through the list of like magic items,
we could come up with something.
It's like I haven't gone through that like that in a long time. Now that I'm a lot more familiar with the monsters
How
out there.
Robe of many eyes. What do you think we need? Well, a robe first and
a beholder.
Yeah.
No, man.
You need all of its eyes. No, they've got one important eye, but then they have a bunch of stalks.
Yeah, I would say the harvest beholder eyes.
Or there's something else.
Perfect.
I don't really care, to be honest. But the point is, you could make that easily.
Yeah.
Huh.
I like it.
Future campaign idea.
Future campaign idea.
I would say like in your current world of Byron.
Piran's good.
Piran, yeah, I knew that. I don't feel like that would fit. Like, the world is not advanced enough to have the economy to support a magic item shop and the immense amount of money those things cost.
Right.
But we've been talking about doing time skips when it's less primitive. So, like,
Right.
the next campaign, maybe that's the start.
Yeah, no, for sure. I could see that being a thing for sure. I don't know. I was talking with Kyla the other day about like it's cool to think about like we might still be using this same world that I have in like 6 years. And obviously, it'll be completely changed because of things that your characters have done. And that's like a really cool idea to me.
Yeah.
And if that's the direction we want to go, awesome. I want to see where that goes. And I also want to make sure that a Flail Snail comes along with it.
Hell yeah.
I think that's all I got for the Flail Snail.
I would say this like little stat block and 2 paragraphs of flavor ended up being a huge discussion.
Wow, it's almost like when monsters have good flavor, you can just let your imagination run wild.
That's a phenomenal suggestion.
Also, the name's fun to say.
Flail Snail.
Flail Snail.
Flail Snail.
Yes. Oh yeah, we were talking about we should new trait if you roll all the beasts and everything like that. Just act like Pokemon saying their name.
Oh yeah,
Such a great idea.
yeah. Flail Snail. Flail Snail. Just going along for
Flail Snail.
hours.
Yeah.
Flail Snail. Bam.
Flail! Snail! Flail! Snail!
Like an alarm. Like a car alarm, basically. Just yelling Flail Snail.
What could that be? I think it's a flail snail.
That'd be a silly way to make a random encounter while traveling.
Yeah.
Like you just walking along and start hearing Flail Snail. Should we check that out? No, let's keep going immediately. I wonder what it can be. I think I know what it is. Let's go. All right. And with that, is there anything else you guys want to say?
Nope.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Next time on Monsters and Multiclass.
Join us next time as we discuss our first Artificer multiclass, the Ranger Artificer. And then the biggest baddie of them all, the one that everybody knows about but nobody actually fights unless their DM is a dick, the Tarrasque.